Is Ian running the scoreboard?
Yes, he is going to run the scoreboard, but I currently need to get that fixed. Sorry if you're just joining us. We're dealing with something real quick. So, if you'll just excuse us, we'll be completely silent for a second. Hi there, if you're just joining us. This is Jackson Sutherland and Eli Lovell here broadcasting from the WKU Hilltoppers Field for the game between the Greenwood High School Gators and the Warren Central Dragons. How are you doing today, Eli?
Doing pretty good, Jackson. How about yourself?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you for asking. So far, Warren Central has already beaten their run count from yesterday, scoring the first run of the game in the first inning. Yesterday, Tyler Cook pitched a shutout, complete game actually, against Warren Central, giving up 0 runs, and Warren Central scored, and then Greenwood themselves scored 10 runs. So hopefully we'll see some more high-powered offense today from Greenwood, and some high-powered pitching today from Greenwood.
Nowhere to go but up for the Dragons, though.
Absolutely. And up to bat right now, though, will be Braxton Garner here for Greenwood. So what do you expect? You were in attendance last night. You were actually running the
Scoreboard.
Scoreboard for us last night. What do you kind of expect to see from Greenwood tonight, and what do you expect to see from Warren Central tonight?
Well, from Greenwood, I definitely expect to see another solid pitching outing. That's definitely going to be something they look to keep up from last night's shutout. And, just one thing they seem to struggle with a little bit. There were lots of walks, lots of steals. There were a couple hits, especially late in the game, but early on, kind of a slow start in the hitting game for the Gators.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully they can pick that up early on like we saw in was it Allen County? Or Ohio County. Ohio County game.
Yes, it was.
What about you, Jackson? What are you looking forward to seeing here tonight from Greenwood?
Well, what you might be thinking when you see a score of 10-0, you kind of you can't just lay your mic down like that, Eli. It sounds terrible. All right, and that will be Braxton Garner walked. Like I was saying, when you see a score of 10-0, what you kind of think that there's going to be high-powered batting from the winning team. But last night it was really just their plate discipline, their plate vision looked amazing. They got walked multiple times, and they were able to actually use their legs and steal plenty of bases. So that's kind of going to be what I'm looking forward to tonight. See if Warren Central is able to rebound from the pitcher performance last night. Torrance, the pitcher for Warren Central, he started yesterday, and he had 37 pitches in his very first inning, and that was compared to Tyler Cook, who only reached 37 pitches in his third inning. So hopefully, who's pitching today for Warren Central?
He is number 6, but I do not see him on our roster.
He's actually not on our roster. But number 6 for Warren Central is currently pitching today. I'm not sure if it's the same umps as last night, but these umps really do like to call that inside pitch. They were calling that all night last night, so maybe Greenwood's going to kind of pull in their hands and knock some of those inside pitches.
So there's a high fly ball out towards left field, and that will be foul, and the play is made.
And that'll be Skylar Martinez making that play, the left fielder for Warren Central. And now to bat is Chandler Wilson for Greenwood.
Now already, like you said, we've gotten to see this kind of plate discipline already in action. The Gators have tied it up by stealing home. So
yes, we have. That was a weird play to witness. That wasn't really a steal. He just kind of frolicked to home plate. Is Chandler Wilson the only southpaw batter here for Greenwood?
No, I believe Drew Lords is also a southpaw, isn't he?
Maybe. I'm not quite sure.
If I remember right, we have 2 or 3.
So Greenwood currently has 2 on base. So Chandler Wilson hits a chopper to right, which will be rolling foul for strike number 2. Sorry about that, folks. The Warren Central Dragons wanted to be fancy and change numbers for tonight's game, so we were trying to figure that out. Currently on the mound right now for the Dragons is number 6, Peyton Eversole.
He was a center fielder last night wearing number 10.
Mm-hmm.
There's a high pitch. That'll be ball 1 of the count.
This reminds me of the Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton campaigns, because it's right on left action here. That'll be a real outside pitch there, called for ball number 2. You know, the biggest problem with the Warren Central pitchers last night was their pitch control was all over the place. They were throwing way above the zone, way outside of the zone, or way inside, or way above the zone, way outside of the zone, or way inside the zone. I mean, it was like a 1970 nuclear advertisement, because Greenwood players were having to duck and cover pretty much all night last night. So
not the same game here today so far, though, as they have gotten out of the inning with only 1 run allowed by the Gators. We had a tie ball game.
But that will be 2 left on base there for Greenwood. That was something that they kind of struggled with last night, is they were able to get players on base, but they weren't very efficient at being able to get them in. So if you're curious, because we started the broadcast late, sorry, that was my bad, by the way. I thought the game started at 7, but it actually started at 6. So a hour difference is pretty substantial. But if you're wondering, on the mound for Greenwood tonight will be Dale Hink, number 14.
Hey, don't worry, Jackson. We started right on time in the Eastern time zone.
Yes, we did. But Dale Hink, he's what we say is the utility man of this Greenwood team. Pretty much everybody on this roster can play multiple positions, but he's able to play best at multiple positions. He's able to play catcher, third baseman, pitcher, pretty much anywhere he practically wants to. So yeah, I'd be expecting a pretty big game out of him tonight.
Do you expect him to step up into a role similar to Mac Osbrook's next year, his senior year on this team?
That's a good question. I don't know. Those are some quite big shoes to fill, but I think that if anybody is up to the challenge, it would be Dale. So perhaps I think so. But Mac, he's a interesting player and interesting character. So I just want to give a quick thank you to our scoreboardsman, Ian Shimizu. We love him. Now currently up to bat for the Dragons, number 11, Decorian Rigsby, the defensive hitter. And that's some designated hitting right there with a line drive straight into left field.
This could be a triple right here, and no, he will stay at second.
And he hits the brakes there on second base, making that a double for him. That will be the first double that Warren Central has had in this series so far. So, man, their bats sure are going tonight. As we saw from last night, Warren Central Dragons were kind of out in that right field for quite a bit longer than the Gators were in left field. So maybe the coach for Warren Central tore him a new one, made him straighten them out a little bit.
He did hold them on field after the game for what seemed like close to 30 minutes.
Yeah. So now up to bat for the Dragons is Joe Alvey, the third baseman.
And there's another hit already. Play made by Wilson at first base.
There's Ethan Gregory's, and that he's probably the defensive stalwart of this Greenwood team. So kind of expect plays like that out of him any day. So I actually talked to him today at school, and we talked about that unassisted double play he had last night, where we got that line drive and then tagged the runner at second base. And from our angle, the runner looked safe, but Ethan Gregory told me that one of the mothers got a pick. Ooh, that was a great bare hand play there by Lance Upright, getting the out at first. But he said that a mother at the game last night got a picture, and he was off. I mean, what they say about baseball is it's a game of inches, and sure was last night, because he was just a fingertip off from being safe. So Ethan Gregory, probably the Golden Glove of this Greenwood team.
He's only a sophomore or junior.
He's a junior. That'll be strike number 1, straight down the middle there.
Guess you could say he's another person who could look to step up into that lead role.
Yes, sir.
Come next year.
And up to bat now for the Dragons will be left fielder Skylar Martinez, as he takes a wide swing there, the outside pitch. These camo uniforms, are you a big fan of the camo uniforms, Eli?
I'm a more fan of traditional kind of gear out here. You know, I think it's a little busy, a little hard on the eyes, especially to see the numbers.
Yeah. That'll be a pitch in the dirt there for ball 1. That would be a foul ball there, down the right field line. Down the first base line, sorry about that.
Game so far has been pretty slow paced. Everybody, no one's in a rush yet.
Greenwood's kind of repping the Astro themed jerseys there with the ooh, that'll be
great way to get out of the inning there by
yes,
Hank
sir.
leaving that runner on third.
So he'll fan Martinez, and we'll be going into the bottom of the 2nd inning with Greenwood up to bat.
Speaking of jerseys, Jackson, do you recall the MLB's 90s Into the Future jerseys?
I do not, actually. Would you like to tell me about them?
So a lot of these teams, they ran these jerseys about what they thought it would look like in like 100 years for the MLB. And needless to say, they were god-awful. The Mets turned into the Mercury Mets, for example.
Ooh.
Like they had moved to the planet Mercury, and they were not nearly as good as these Central uniforms. So.
I mean, if there was a team on Mercury, it wouldn't be hard to keep the bats hot. Hey, hey. That was one of my worst jokes I've made on this broadcast.
That is the second pun you have made this broadcast.
But yeah, I think baseball is a classic sport. You know, I don't think any sport sticks to the fundamentals like baseball does. So yeah, like you, I'm kind of a fan of the classic look. You know.
How do you feel about Greenwood's uniforms out here?
Oh, I love them. I love them. They look amazing. Because I mean, crimson is one of those colors that everybody kind of forgets is associated with Greenwood, and it's great that they're repping that crimson stripe right on the middle. So I love it.
There's a very inside pitch. That'll be ball 1. Might have gotten called strike last night.
Yes, sir. And right now will be the Golden Glove, Ethan Gregory, up to bat. That'll be a pitch in the dirt for ball 2.
There's a high pitch down the middle. That'll be ball 3.
Do you know if they have concessions here tonight, Eli?
I would imagine so, Jackson, but
Because I tell you what,
unaware.
I'm in the need of some water. That'll be the catcher, Jerry Adams, going up and having a little conversation with Peyton Eversole. I mean, when you have a 3-0 count, you kind of need to just straighten out and kind of get them back in the strike zone. Just like that. So that'll be strike number 1 there for Peyton Eversole.
the pitching has started off pretty solid here today for Warren Central. That was something they struggled with a little bit last night.
I asked Tucker Clack last night what he does on a 3-0 count. Do you, if you had a 3-0 count, do you take it or do you go out swinging? That'll be a great cross-field play there by the third baseman, Joe Alvey.
And that's Jordan Lindsay on first base getting the out.
But on a 3-0 count, what are you doing?
I think I would take at least one big swing at it. You know, you've got 3 strikes to give, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But then After that, I don't know. I might wait and see, depending on how he throws that ball. I would depend on how to judge from there.
And Sandy Koufax from last night, Tyler Cook is up to bat. If you don't know do you know who Sandy Koufax is?
I do not, Jackson.
He was a Jewish pitcher for the, he was a southpaw Jewish pitcher for the Dodgers back in the 50s and 60s.
Is Tyler Cook Jewish?
No, but he's southpaw.
Oh, okay.
He's a left-handed pitcher.
I figured it was one or the other, and
Now I'm just going to make fun of him for being a Jew.
Are you allowed to say that on the air?
Who cares? All right, that'll be strike number 1 there, right down the middle on Tyler Cook. So that'll be 42 pitches here for Peyton Eversole already. So, I mean, he's kind of struggled with getting the batters out of there.
That was a common theme from last night, too.
Absolutely.
I mean, what was it, 86 pitches in 3 innings?
Yes, it was. And so that'll be a high pitch there for ball number 3. That 3-1 count has kind of been consistent there for Peyton Eversole so far, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really has.
Another real inside pitch there for ball number 4. Tyler Cook will take his base.
Next up for the Gators, the center fielder, number 3, Reed Sloan.
And now up to bat is the multi-sport athlete Reed Sloan. Not only is he a great defender center field, he's also a great defender on the football field, playing defensive back also for the Greenwood Gators.
Another one of this incredibly talented lineup of juniors that they'll be depending on next year to really do some damage.
Yes, sir. That'll be an inside pitch there. Had to kind of tuck his shoulder away, but it will be called a strike. Eric Flowers, not Eric Flowers. Keep calling him Eric Flowers. Oh. Ooh. That'll bounce out of Jordan Lindsay's glove right there.
And that'll be a stolen base.
Yes, it will. Actually, I don't think that will be a stolen base. I think that'll just be a batter advanced. Sorry. I don't want to correct you, Eli.
No, you're fine.
Jordan Lindsay, that was kind of one of the problems that Greenwood baseball kind of had with him. He didn't start for Greenwood, and he left to play for Warren Central and start, because that's what people do. And he left and played for Warren Central, and one of the things that's kind of that was kind of a drive against him is that the hustle. We saw that last night with that foul ball. He kind of just kind of.
Oh. Ooh. I'm not quite sure what. I don't know what you'd call that, Jackson.
Well, what you call that is that
It's a botched play for sure.
Flowers got plunked in the back of the head. That's what you call that. So now that will be a run scored.
Yes, there was a.
Was there? I thought there was.
Could have sworn there was.
There was a run scored? All right, there was a run scored, so the score is now
They
2-1 in
they just
favor of
haven't put it
Greenwood.
up on the scoreboard yet. I think the pitcher there thought he was playing kickball, trying to throw it at the runner.
Just a little bit.
There's a wide ball into the dirt. That'll be ball 2 of the count.
So up here we're kind of all across the U.S. of A. I'm a Cincinnati Reds fan. You know, the oldest team in the history of the MLB. You're a Atlanta Braves fan, a former Boston Braves, and our scoreboard technician over here, Ian Shimzu, is a San Diego Padres fan. So we feel very sorry for Ian Shimzu. And he says that he got Manny Machado, the most overrated player in the history of the MLB.
3 very storied histories right there. One team that loses every year in the World Series, and 2 teams that don't make many World Series.
Actually, sir, the Reds have more World Championships than the Braves, so check your facts.
How many World Series wins do the Cincinnati Reds have, Jackson?
I think 5.
It's very impressive. We've lost 2 more than that, actually.
5 or I think it's 5. And that will be a line drive foul there for Dale Hink, making it a full count, 3-2 for him. What do you think that Greenwood could look on to, if they had anything to improve on from last night? Do you think there's anything that they can take away from last night's game? Or improve on? Or
last night, like you've already said, they were really reliant on, once they got their players out, whether it be by walking or whatnot, very reliant on stealing bases, things like that. Their batting itself wasn't, I mean, it was good, but it wasn't what we saw maybe in the Ohio County game, for instance.
Yes,
so
and
that's one thing they're definitely going to look to improve on.
That will be Dale Hink getting walked there, but a pinch runner there, J.D. Hunt.
Bases loaded now for the Gators, only 1 out. They are in good position to score.
In extremely good positions, because right now is the powerhouse himself, Mac Osbrooks, up to bat. If you're looking for a guy to completely clear the bases, he's your guy.
I don't know about here at Western, though, if he's going to be able.
Oh, man, that'll be a ground ball to second base. Mac Osbrooks will get out, but he will be attributed with the 1 RBI there on the score by Reed Sloan, making the score 3-1 in favor of your Greenwood Gators.
Up to the plate now is Braxton Garner.
Big boy. That's an endearing big boy. He's another guy you can look to clear the bases. Whack one over the fence if you really want him to. That'll be a very low pitch there, called for ball number 2. Making the count 2-0 here for Braxton Garner. And yes, that will be an error attributed to Jordan Lindsay there for the ball bouncing out of his first baseman's mitt. And Braxton Garner will get plunked there to fill the bases. As Braxton Garner hustles down the first baseline on a HBP.
Looks like they are not going to bring in a courtesy runner for him. He will be.
I mean, you saw him decking it down that first baseline. I don't think you need a pinch runner for him. But now up to bat for Greenwood will be Lance Upright, the catcher.
Catching is another thing that Central will look to improve on from last night's game. I don't really know who you fault there from some of those. There were some wild pitches for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There also seemed to be a little bit of an issue, just getting the mid on it behind the mound. Behind the plate, sorry.
That'll be a real high fly ball into center field. And it will be ringed in by Warren Central. And Warren Central will get out of this one safely with no runs scored and 3 left on base.
There were 2 runs scored. Greenwood's up 3-1.
Oh yeah, 2 runs scored. So
improvement from last night, though.
We will be right back after a word from our sponsors. And we are back for the top of the third inning. Up to bat now for Warren Central is
It is number 23.
Jordan Miller, the right fielder. We think it's Jordan Miller. They kind of switched around the numbers on us tonight, so your guess is as good as ours.
It's a choppy one out to center right field, and Chandler Wilson will make another good play at first. So far, he hasn't let anything get by him. Solid performance today.
Yes, sir.
And, of course, Ethan Gregory still looking as strong as ever out there in center field.
What? That should be second base?
Right, sorry.
That'll be a chopper hit foul for strike number 1.
Which we believe is Noah Thomas up to bat for the Gators, for the Dragons. Ooh. Right up to center left field, but the play is made there. That is Reed Sloan.
Now their own unit, Jordan Lindsay comes out to bat.
Former Gator, like you've mentioned.
Would you call him a former Gator? He didn't start.
Well, he went to Greenwood.
Yeah, you're right about that. But of course, I mean, no disrespect to Jordan Lindsay.
Anyhow, that's a low ball to the right of the plate. It's ball 1, and
I'll be hit right to the left fielder there.
3 up, 3 down.
I think that's Tyler Cook in left field. So yes, it will be. I think that was a 3-pitch inning there.
It was 3 batters up, 3 right down. There's a stop by Wilson at first, and then Reed Sloan and Tyler Cook both making the stops out in center field and left field.
Sir.
Nothing bad you can say about Greenwood's performance right there.
Not at all. But if you look at it, Peyton Eversole has 54 pitches, and that's compared to Greenwood's. No, he has 59 pitches. That's compared to Greenwood's 34. So Warren Central running into the same problems tonight. I mean, that arm gets a little tired after a while. So I mean, hopefully he's able to get that pitch count down. He's able to stay in this game for a little bit longer, because Warren Central, as we saw last night, does not have the deepest of pitching rotations or bullpens. So they really want to kind of get the work that they can out of their starting pitcher, Peyton Eversole.
And it's not like Greenwood's been lighting up the bats here so far. They've just been solid, consistent game. Central's just not been able to get out of the outfield so far.
You're definitely right about that. So now up to bat for Greenwood will be number 4, Chandler Wilson. He's a man in that first base position. Has had a good series so far against Warren Central.
He has, and especially tonight, nothing you can say about him that's negative so far. And there was a low ball left of the box. That'll be ball 1.
Chandler Wilson has kind of relied on. He bats around 6th, 7th, but he had some pop there at the end of the batting rotation.
Of course.
Be a very inside pitch there for ball number 1. Or no, sorry, ball number 2. That'll be a very, very high outside pitch there. Peyton Eversole making it the count 3-0.
Once again, he
spot
finds
you
himself
don't want to be in.
right in that 3-0 hole. And that'll be a walk.
Again, they're kind of struggling with these high pitches. They've been giving up a lot of those. So that'll be a walk. Once again attributed to Peyton Eversole.
And here comes Ethan Gregory up to bat. How do you feel about this field, Jackson? This
Turf.
interesting turf.
I love watching games on turf. I hate playing on turf. I'll say that. Like, I think it was Marshall Faulk played for the Los Angeles Rams in the 80s. They played in that big old dome that had the AstroTurf on it. And it was called The Greatest Show on Turf. And that was real exciting to watch them. So if you got a team that's able to play well on turf, then it's real exciting to watch. But I tell you what, that stuff tears up your knees if you're not careful.
And one thing it's definitely proved is that it can be slick. If you know the 5th down Missouri-Colorado game that ended up impacting the national championship that year in college football.
Yes, sir.
The AstroTurf was a big player in that game, taking several people down.
I just think that, like I said, I think baseball is one of the least conformist sports. It's kind of a conservative sport. They stick to the classics. So I think that playing on grass is unbeatable.
I would agree with you there.
So that will be strike number 2 there. Ethan Gregory.
And there's a very outside into the dirt ball, and Wilson will steal second base.
That will be a wild pitch there by Peyton Eversole.
And we have a full count now.
And ball number 3 there.
You have to think Eversole really wants this one to kind of give some energy back into this Central team.
But, I mean, if you've got a player already in scoring position, 0 outs, you kind of got to find out what's wrong with you and fix it. And as he gives up another base runner, which will be Ethan Gregory. So they got batters on first and second now.
And here comes Tyler Cook up to bat. Obviously, phenomenal pitching performance in last night's game. Solid left field so far.
Absolutely. He had great stuff last night. He was able to use that curveball to his advantage against multiple Morrison. He made some of them look goofy last night, I'll say that. But hopefully Neil Hink can take up that mantle and do the same for us tonight.
And the catcher just returned from another trip to the mound here. You have to think that Eversole's getting a little discouraged as Cook bunts, and the wild pitch there prevents the out from being made at first. Wilson will score, and here comes
2 runners.
That's Ethan
Gregory and Chandler Wilson both score, so that'll make the score 5-0 here.
That was a bunt triple right there, Jackson.
That's what you call a little league triple. Peyton Eversole threw it to the first baseman, and he failed. So that will be, I think that will be an error, yes. But that will be 2 RBIs attributed to Tyler Cook there on the bunt.
One thing we know is that if Cook ever decides to go back to T-ball, he's got a promising career in front of him.
Absolutely.
And there's another bunt.
Ooh, that was a nice bunt.
But they will make the out there on Cook. That was a little short, I think.
Yeah. With those bunts, what you want to do is you want to get down, you want to bend your knees, and you want to kind of angle it towards that first base line. I think he had the right idea. I think that's what he was trying to do, but he wasn't quite successful with it.
So here's Wesley Flowers now up to bat for the Gators.
And that'll be the ump getting hit by the pitch.
He doesn't look too happy right there.
Yeah, that was a wild pitch that missed the batter and then hit the ump. So he missed everything except the umpire. And that will be Reed Sloan advancing to second base. And if you hear that blowing noise while we're talking, that's not us breathing heavily into the mic. That's actually the wind. We're currently commentating the press box here at WKU.
Ooh, and there's a nice high ball out towards left field. Ooh. And
that'll be extra bases, and that'll be off his foot there for Angels in the outfield type
this
situation.
Could be a little league home run right here. And no, he will stay at third.
And that will be a triple there for Wesley Flowers, but everybody in the stadium knows it should have been a double. So that will be 6 runs scored for Greenwood now, and we're only in the 3rd inning. So Warren Central looked pretty good in the 1st inning, and now they're back to their usual self.
Coming out of the 1st inning there, they had that tie ball game, and then since then, you know, nowhere to go but up. Apparently they went as up as they liked to, and now they are headed back down as this pitching coach who's out on the field now.
And Peyton Eversole is going to be getting taken off in favor of the second baseman, Dakota Pedigo. So hopefully Dakota Pedigo does better pitching than he does at playing first base, giving up that Little League triple earlier. But yeah, it was already 72 pitches for 72 pitches for Peyton Eversole through 3 innings. That's 24 pitches on average per inning. So
I don't know if you just heard, but that is actually Joe Alvia taking the mound.
My bad.
He's the 3rd baseman.
He was playing out of position today, wasn't he?
Yeah, it did look like they pulled him in from second base. But you can see, looking at the Gators over there right now, they seem pretty loose. They seem like they're enjoying themselves right now.
I mean, you have to be in high spirits if you're whacking a team like this. I don't think that the mercy rule will be enacted, even though it probably should, because currently Warren Central already got their score in, making it 6-1. So even if Greenwood scores 4 more runs in this inning, I do not think that the mercy rule will be enacted, even though Warren Central probably will be begging for mercy. That sounded way worse than I meant for it to. Sorry to any Dragons fans if you're watching.
And of course, you know, it is more convenient for us and probably these players to get out of here after the 5th, but you do hate to see it for the opposition, another county team, you know.
You really like to, I don't know. Like Chris Davis, you know, I'm talking about the Baltimore Orioles player. He just recently broke the record for the longest streak without a hit, 0 for 47. So when you watch it, you kind of view him from a symbol of sympathy, you know.
Yeah, especially with these Gators, you know, we like Central have known our fair share of hard times in some of our other athletic programs.
Yes, sir. Me and Tucker Clack commentated on a few of those hard times. And that will be a line drive foul there for Dale Hink for strike number 1.
Baseball after that Hot Rods Classic, those first 2 games playing against really strong competition since then, seemed like maybe one of the bright spots for Greenwood High School.
Absolutely. But as I was saying, with Chris Davis, you kind of view him as a symbol of sympathy. So when you watch a game, you really want it to be exciting. You really want it to be competitive. When you watch a game like this where one team is just ousting the other team in every single facet, I mean, Warren Central has been doing very well in fielding, pitching, batting. I mean, I mean, I'm glad Greenwood's winning. I just wish we were winning under different circumstances.
Ooh, Wesley Flowers almost got hit by that foul ball.
Yeah. So that will make it strike 2. That was a healthy whack. If that one was any more foul, that would have been he would have hit that one for extra bases.
And they do have 1 out left to give in this inning before things get serious. They have a 5-run cushion here. You think you can take some healthy swings like that. So there's a low ball into the dirt. That'll be 2-2 count.
It's like when you're playing basketball. You don't go for a dunk if you're in the lead. You go for a dunk if you're later into the game and you're defeating the other team by a lot, you know? So in this, you're kind of trying to swing for the fences in every way possible.
And there's a low inside ball called a strike right there.
That one grazed his kneecaps and got called as a strike. So that will be out number 2 here for the Gators.
Here comes Mac Osbrooks, very much so the senior leader head for this team.
Absolutely.
And like you were saying about
and ladies, he is single. So.
But like I was saying, as you were saying about Central earlier, you know, they've struggled a little bit today, but it has been an improvement from yesterday's game. So
They've scored a run.
they have. Sometimes you just need to take those slow steps. Especially, we're still pretty fairly early on in this season.
And he took a worthless dive there. And that will be a single there for Mac Osbrooks. And the RBI, Linton getting Wesley Flowers in there. So that will be the 4th run scored here for Greenwood in the 3rd inning.
Kind of wonder why he dived there instead of just trying to hustle over there a little bit more.
Yeah. I was
On
thinking
his
that was
feet.
a very late dive by him. So now up to bat, it will be Braxton Garner. Maybe trying to add to this cushion a little bit. Maybe get a extra base hit, have Mac Osbrooks get in.
Man,
That was a drifter there from the catcher. That was a slow throw there to second base, and Mac Osbrooks will be safe for the stolen base.
was a good pitch though. So far, Alvey has, as a relief pitcher, has not done horribly. There have been some notable errors already, but there's a healthy swing by Garner, foul out left field.
One thing about Mac Osbrooks, though, he's kind of the Mike Trout of this team, though. You know, he's able to do everything. He's able to pitch. He's the ace of Greenwood. He's able to pitch. He's able to field. He's a great batter, and as he just displayed, he's got some churning legs there, getting the stolen base. So he's kind of the jack of all trades, isn't he?
He is. It's kind of what we thought Shohei Ohtani was going to be his rookie year.
So that will be a foul ball there for strike number 2. Making the count 0-2 here for Braxton Garner. So I already asked you, what's your mindset when you have a 0-3 count? What's your mindset when you have a 0-2 count?
Well, I think, like I said, it depends on how the pitcher's been throwing them so far. You know, if they've been borderline. Oh, he just got domed right there.
Ooh. So Braxton Garner will take his base, and that will be base runners on 1st and 2nd.
They say baseball's not a contact sport. They should call the pitcher for targeting.
Maybe that was a frustration pitch. We don't want to say that anybody is advocating for hitting a batter, but they have been flirting with that upper inside part of the strike zone. So
Did you see the little flop there by Garner afterwards? He took that pitch on the head, waited a solid second or two, and then stumbled back a couple feet off the mound, off the plate before taking his stroll over to first base.
he didn't necessarily sprint down the line like he did last time, though, did he?
I think he was teetering a little bit. Like one of those police tests.
Oh, that'll be right back to the second baseman for a great field right there. That will be an out. That was a great play there by Peyton Eversole, the second baseman.
I have to wonder, why did he not just try to beat Garner to second there? He was pretty much right by the bag.
You got to go for the highlight play. There's nothing more satisfying than the 4-3 play. The second baseman to the first baseman.
Guess especially when you're down 6 runs, you know.
You need all the momentum you can get.
Exactly.
So Dale Hink is taking the mound, and we will be right back. And we're back for the top of the 4th inning here. Peyton Eversole is up to bat for Warren Central.
So a choppy foul ball. That'll be 1 ball, 2 strikes on the count now. Wind's picking up a little bit. I don't know if it's the same on the field as it is up here. I doubt it's as severe, but up here it's getting a little windy.
Ooh, that'll be a great pitch there for strike number 3. So that will be the first out here for Greenwood.
Caught him looking right there.
Or for Warren Central,
Excellent pitch by Del Hink.
And now up to bat is Jerry Adams, the catcher for Warren Central. As a female.
Someone was
screams
very
his
excited
name, yeah.
to see him up there. As that is a high ball for ball 1.
Was that his sister, his girlfriend, young grandma?
Oh, that one's gonna bust a window.
That'll hit a window somewhere, yeah. Right behind us is that the bypass right there? No, it's not, no.
Is that Small House Road?
No, that's not Small House. Well, there is a road behind the WKU's field, so we were just talking about. I thought Panama was a Van Halen song, and actually it was a Def Leppard song.
No, it's the other way around. It's a. You thought it was a Def Leppard song. It's a Van Halen song.
Can you name 3 Def Leppard songs right now?
Photograph, Pour Some Sugar on Me, and Animal. Also, Rocket. I'm a big fan.
Oh
Went
yeah,
to see him in
I forgot you're a
concert
Def
with
Leppard
Journey.
fan.
It was.
I just see a lot of people wearing Def Leppard shirts, and I know that none of them listen to Def Leppard.
Most of them probably.
I don't listen to Def Leppard.
I feel like Def Leppard's become sort of like the Ramones to a lot of people. Like, I bet most people couldn't even name one Ramones song. Some people probably couldn't even tell you who the Ramones are, but.
And up to bat now will be the defensive hitter, designated hitter, DeCory and Rigsby for Warren Central. I'm a big classic rock guy, though.
Me too, Jackson. That's nothing like it.
Just Def Leppard is one of those bands I've just never really gotten behind. That'll be a pitch in the dirt there for ball number 2, making the count 2-1. I used to be a big Southern rock guy, though. Kind of strayed away from that a little bit. I used to love Bruce Springsteen, Bob Seger, John Mellencamp.
Well, I would actually call that Heartland rock. It's pretty much Southern rock for the Midwest, but they're them and then like Southern rock like the Eagles, Leonard Skinner, and 38 Special.
Leonard Skinner, man,
CCR.
I love that guy.
I'm going to see them in concert this October, I think.
I used to be the biggest CCR fan. Speaking of CCR, Greenwood has adopted the personality of the traveling band this season. So,
as their baseball field was completely torn up for FFA renovations.
So, FFA?
It was to install new heaters, I believe, for the greenhouse under the baseball field.
But I think they are redoing the field, though.
Right. I think while they're at it, you know, we do have that 30-year quota coming up where we can get a massive athletic renovation. So Corey Hart Field's probably going to be looking up in the next few years. Too bad we'll be gone before we get to broadcast it.
That will be DeCory and Rigsby. They're getting walked for a so there will be a base runner on here for Warren Central.
Think they'll bring in a pinch runner for him, or?
Ooh, I don't know. He kind of had those legs churning there in his last at bat, getting that double. So I wouldn't be surprised either way, to be honest.
Hink is keeping an eye on him out there at first, but he gets back to the plate.
But now I've kind of expanded. I listen to Led Zeppelin now, Van Halen, Metallica, bands like that.
I've never been a Metallica fan.
There's a few Metallica songs I like, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of that screeching type of music. But that I love them. Jimi Hendrix. Oh,
that's a wild 2 bobbled balls right there. Wilson is a tall guy too, so for that throw to get over his head,
wildly overthrown, yeah. But So that will be Rigsby getting to second base there on the overthrow.
You think our resident giraffe, Drew Lors, could have snagged that ball?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't even think a man with a frame that long could be able to catch that ball. So, but currently he's not actually here. If you look in the dugout,
that's what I noticed. He hasn't been.
He's actually at a orchestral thing for band at Van Meter Hall, which is actually right up the hill. If you look, you can see it. I think right over there. So
maybe he could have run back and forth between the two of them. Played in his dress uniform.
Absolutely. He's a alto sax player, I'm pretty sure. It's either alto sax or tenor sax. I've never really.
I believe it's a tenor sax. That's the sax. Longer one.
I told him I'd give him $50 if he could play the saxophone solo. Ooh. If he could play the saxophone solo at the end of Shine On You Crazy Diamond. And that will be a strikeout there on Joe Alvey, the current pitcher for Warren Central. So Greenwood will get out of the batter and scoring position, and it will be the bottom of the fourth inning when we get back. And we're back. Right now, if you were seeing there, Braxton Garner is currently in the bullpen, warming up, maybe coming into that closing role for Dale Hink.
Certainly a good performance today from him.
Absolutely. Well, we saw Braxton Garner actually come in for relief in a previous game when we watched us play against, was it Highlands? I think it was Highlands.
It was
that
Highlands.
Braxton Garner pitched against. Came in for relief for Tyler Cook.
That Highlands game, that's one, you hate to lose that way. 2-0, just one little slip up, and then the whole game just kind of derailed there.
But we commentated that game. That was a fun one to commentate because, like we said, we love those competitive games.
It's a defensive showdown, that's for sure.
Yes, sir.
It's almost like, some people complain when they're watching a baseball game that's 0-0 in the fifth, or a football game that's like 6-6 headed into the fourth quarter. But I'm a fan of defensive matchups. I think sometimes offense becomes too relied on, and it makes the game look sloppy.
If you could, would you rather have a decent offense and a great defense, or a decent defense and a great offense? You can't say both.
I'm going to have to go great defense, decent offense. I'm a New York Giants fan. We won 2 Super Bowls our first 2 pretty much on our defense behind Lawrence Taylor, and then obviously we've had other great players like Michael Strahan. I'm a fan of defense, so
yes,
that's why I was so upset watching Landon Collins walk away this year. That was
Giants are kind of on the turnstile this year. They might be going down a little bit, so maybe they're trying to tank for Tua. So
I hope they only.
And that will be Chandler Wilson getting walked. taking the base.
He can be a big hitter, but he hasn't really gotten a chance to show it. Hasn't he been walked every time so far?
He's gotten walked twice, and he's struck out twice.
So they haven't really given him a chance to show. I believe it was either the Highlands or Ohio County game where he had that deep double out in Bowling Green Ballpark. Looking to see more of that from him.
Yes, sir.
In the future of the season. What about you, Jackson? Would you rather have solid fielding and defense?
Oh. Hi there. Just joining us now, hailing from Greenwood High School, is actually Mr. Dillingham, our technology teacher, and the...
No.
We got our camera right down there. If you look to the right, it's right. I think it's right here. Yeah. Yeah.
And the cable's going all the way down to the.
Oh no, that one's not our cable. Ours is just right here.
Oh, okay.
But the innovator and the sponsor for this program, Mr. Dillingham, we love him.
So another low pitch into the dirt. That'll be 3-1 on the count.
But if I had to be completely honest, I would rather have a decent offense and a great defense, just like you said, because I think it's way easier to score than to keep your opponent from scoring.
Right. Greenwood in this game has done great at both.
Yes, sir.
There's a foul ball to left field. Full count now. And so Alvey started off a little choppy for the Dragons, but since then, not too bad out of him, coming in as a relief pitcher especially.
And that will be a walk there for Ethan Gregory. We aren't keeping up with it, but that feels like the 20th walk there for Greenwood.
So the bats have been a little more active tonight, but very similar to last night's matchup where they'd get on base, not necessarily by hitting, but just by keeping their cool in that batter's box.
And now up to bat will be the left fielder, Tyler Cook, Greenwood. Maybe hoping to pad onto this lead a little bit. That will be a bunt attempt, but it'll draw it back there for ball number 1. That was a pitch up into the chin strap on that one, wasn't it?
There's another low pitch for Joe Alvey. That'll be ball 2. They actually ruled out a strike.
Yes, sir.
Bottom of the batter's box. 1-1 is the count. No outs here in the bottom of the 4th for the Gators.
That will be another outside pitch there for ball 3. Or ball 2, sorry about that.
How many pitches has he already thrown?
26. In about an inning and a half. So he's kind of had that Warren Central pitcher syndrome so far.
This has been a
Having
common
way too
theme.
many pitches to...
Just can't get him off the mound.
Yeah.
There's another low pitch. That'll be a 3-1 count. Another common theme
Yes,
for
sir.
the Dragons.
That was a bunt attempt once again by Tyler Cook, drawing it back.
I think this time you should take a healthy swing at it.
You always have to when you have a lead like this. But I think you would take it. I think in this position you would take it. Try to get walked and load the bases without any effort, just like that. And that will be full bases here for Greenwood.
Here comes the speedster, Reed Sloan, up to bat.
He's kind of the Jose Altuve of this team, isn't he?
Actually, I don't know who that is, Jackson.
You know who Jose Altuve is? He won the MVP for the AL 2 seasons ago.
I've really only become a baseball fan for the first time in like about 8 years of my life last year, watching the Braves not stink it up out on the field.
Well, Jose Altuve, he holds down second base for the Houston Astros, actually, and he's a defensive star.
Part of that World Series winning team?
Yes, sir. He's a defensive star, but he's quite small. He's 5'7", but he's got a lot of power behind that bat and a lot of speed behind those legs. So that's kind of what you look forward to in the player that Reed Sloan is.
Just another meeting at the mound there for the Dragons.
Do you think he'll be able to get out of this situation?
You know, they have still 3 innings left to play, but 6 runs.
I'm talking about the full bases situation.
Oh. The way things have been going so far, I wouldn't be surprised if he walks a runner home.
Have you ever seen a walk-off walk before?
I have actually. I've seen a balk walk off.
Ooh.
He stepped up.
Yes, sir.
Ian's a sophomore or junior, isn't he? Senior. Are you a senior? Yeah.
He already graduated.
Yeah, I got your
Webpage design last year.
That's right.
Don't you have my brother right now?
Yes.
Yeah. I heard he's struggling in that class.
What?
I heard he's struggling in that class.
He is.
Yeah.
He is struggling. He's probably struggling to stay awake.
So that'll be strike number 1 there on Reed Sloan. That will be a foul ball, making it 2-2.
It was a year or 2 ago. It was an Angels-Orioles game, and he stepped into his windup, backed out of it. They called a balk. He walked a man home, and that was the game.
Huh. Must have been a real unexciting way to end the game.
There was a lot of yelling. There were some trips to the mound by.
Who do you pour Gatorade on in that situation?
I don't think any Gatorade gets poured right there. I think you
just
quietly go back.
Just have a golf clap and go into the clubhouse. What's the most recent baseball game you've been to other than the Greenwood games?
I've been to.
Hmm?
That would have been
Full count, by the way.
last season. I went to an opening weekend Braves game.
There'll be a pitch off the chest there on the catcher, but no reason to hustle to get it because there will be a batter walked home here, making it 8-1 here in favor of your Greenwood Gators. And Reed Sloan taking his base.
Wesley Flowers now is up to bat.
I'll tell you what the most recent game I went to was the Brewers and Reds. The Brewers scored in the first inning. It was about 90 degrees outside, so I was already sweating. And then they scored 1 run in the first inning and then didn't score at all for the rest of the game, and nobody else did. So I sat there for about 3 hours to watch 1 score and sweat my butt off. So that was fun. What about you?
It was a Braves Nationals opening weekend game, same night as last year's NCAA basketball championship, which I totally skipped because it was Michigan-Villanova.
Oh,
So
man.
Wild,
That was a
wild error out here for the Dragons.
So that will be 2 more runs scored for Greenwood on that error by Jordan Lindsay.
And like
That's
you said,
the second error on Jordan Lindsay so far tonight, isn't it?
I believe so. There was that one earlier. Who do you attribute that to earlier where it went off the back of the runner?
That's one of the part where the pitcher needs to get off of the baseline and throw it at an angle to the first baseman. You can't expect to throw it over the runner. I don't know what he was expecting to do in that situation.
And there's a line drive.
There's a crack there by Del Hink. That'll be extra bases, and that will be 2
And
runs scored. That will be a triple, actually, by Dale Hink. Ooh,
Good slide there.
that was a great hit. So that will make the score 12-1 here.
But
for
like you
Greenwood.
said, because of that first run by Central on the top of the first, there will be no mercy rule.
Yeah. You think there should be a mercy rule. And I think Joe Alvey's going to get pulled now.
Yeah.
He's thrown 37 pitches in 2 innings and has given up 6 runs. So that's really not the production that you're looking for from your reliever.
Hey, you know who would be good to have on? Mr. Wicks. He's a good baseball talker.
I've heard the name, yeah.
He was a catcher for the Yankees, and he was amazing. So we might have the assistant principal for Greenwood coming on in a little bit, Mr. Wicks, for a guest appearance. So that'll be exciting. But we were just talking about baseball cards. My dad used to have a Yogi Berra rookie card, and he had it out in his garden shed, and then his garden shed burnt down, and along with it was thousands of dollars worth of baseball cards.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's like that commercial where the girl's she shed got struck by lightning and exploded.
I don't know what you're talking about, but that sounds entertaining. So before we bring Mr. Wicks on, we will be right back.
Deal.
And now joining us is the guest star, the assistant principal for Greenwood High School, Mr. Wicks. How are you doing tonight?
Hey guys, I'm feeling good. What about you?
I'm doing spectacular.
Just got through watching our girls play Bowling Green and softball. That's a big win for us.
Yes, sir. What was the score for that?
9-0.
Oh wow,
9-0.
That's amazing. Who was pitching for Greenwood?
Oh gosh, I knew you were going to ask me that. It's one of our 8th grade kids.
Oh really?
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yep. They let Allison Bush off tonight, I think, and then they threw her. Both of those are pretty good. Both of them pretty talented, to be young as they are. And I tell you, our girls have got a shot of at winning our district. Warren East seems to be the top competitor in that district race so far.
That's great to hear. I haven't been really been paying much attention to the softball team, I must admit, this season, but that's great to hear that they're doing well.
Both teams, the boys baseball team and of course the girls softball team, both are doing quite well right now and pretty competitive and been able to score a lot of runs.
Yes,
I think
sir.
you put pressure on the defense when you can put people on. That's what they're doing.
And speaking of offense, Braxton Garner just whacked in a double there.
Well, I'll tell you
had
what,
the legs churning.
The night before last, he hit one that's still going. As a matter of fact, I think it hit the back of Rose's department store over there.
Oh wow!
It's still moving. It still may be going. As a matter of fact, you got to hold up. That's for sure. He's a strong kid.
Yes, sir. He's probably got the most power behind that bat for him. So he's able to put some wood on it, isn't he?
Yeah, this group of boys they've been pretty good as far as making contact and so forth and getting on base. And like I said, when you can do that, you can put pressure on the defense and the pitching. It makes the pitcher think a lot before he makes that next pitch. So our guys are playing really well, and I know Coach Jaggers and his staff's pretty excited about the possibility of how this year might end.
Yes, sir. I actually talked to Mac Osbrooks before the season started and asked him about it, because he's actually the ace for Greenwood this season. And I asked him, does that put pressure on you? He said it's just pressure for him because he knows that their offense is going. He just wants to be able to match the offense's production and be able to keep them in the lead.
Yeah, that makes a big difference when you take the mound and you've got a 1-0 lead or a 2-0 lead or 3-0, whatever the score is. If you've got a lead going out there, it makes it a lot. It takes a little pressure off you on the mound. And but the thing that you don't like is if you have a team that can't score runs and you give up a run or two and you think, oh well, we're already beat because we can't score 2 runs.
Yes, sir.
That's not the case with this team. This team's going to be able to score.
That's one of the things that the first games that we broadcasted was actually against Ohio County and against Highlands, and our bats weren't really able to get going. But then I think it was the game against who was that? It was Grayson County and Highlands, and then we played Ohio County, and Ohio County was the game where our bats really were going. So
yeah, that's a little early in the year too, and the more you play, the more pitches you see, and
yes, sir.
You get an opportunity. You start getting into kind of a groove, and I think that's where we are right now. Now next week, it's going to be pretty tough. We got Warren East, I believe, next week.
Oh wow!
And that's going to be tough. They've got a kid that, my understanding is maybe drafted.
Oh wow!
In the 6th. I heard as early as the 6th round, but that may be well off. But he has a full ride to Louisville right now.
Oh wow!
So
that's amazing.
Yeah, he's a good pitcher. And of course, we'll have our hands full. But I tell you, our kids if they put wood on the ball and so forth, or in this case aluminum on the ball, if they can do that. Then of course
yes, sir.
They can do it. Yeah.
But that's amazing for Warren East, but that's kind of intimidating for Greenwood when you see that there's a guy who might get drafted in the MLB on the other team.
Yeah, and I know our guys read all that, and I know they know that, but it's also a challenge, and I think our kids are up to that challenge. So I look forward to that next week. I think it could be really I think it could really be a real bright spot for us, especially if we happen to get maybe 2 out of 3 of those games next week.
Yes, sir. That will be a dropped pop fly there by Peyton Eversall, so it will fill the bases. And I think that is John Morrison up to bat.
How you like doing this? You like this?
Oh, I love it. I love it a lot. I like commentating baseball more than basketball just because it's more relaxed.
Are you thinking about going into broadcasting, all you guys?
I can't speak for Eli, but
no, Eli says no right off the bat, doesn't he?
It's something that I'm highly interested in. I would love to do it in college if the opportunity arises, but it's kind of one of those situations where you have to shine brighter than everybody else to get into it. So and as for me, I'm kind of a dim light bulb. So maybe I'll get lucky. Maybe I'll.
You'll be fine.
And they will get the force at home, and there will be no production out of that ground ball there, but the bases will remain loaded as Tyler Cook comes up to bat. What are your thoughts on the game so far?
Well, I got here late, obviously, because I was over at Bowling Green watching the girls play, and I called Mr. Dillingham to see exactly what inning we were in and what kind of score we had and so forth, and he told me at the time it was 3-1. And so then I called back on my way over, and he said 7-1, and that's what I thought it would be. So I thought, well, I'm gonna get to see a lot of baseball, but instead it looks like I might get to see a half inning of baseball if the score continues to be like this.
Sure. But the mercy rule can't be enacted if the other team scores a run. Is that right?
Well, I think it's 10 runs after 5, or it's 15 after 3. I believe that's what it is. So right now, Warren Central will get to hit in the top of the 5th.
Yes, sir.
Unless we, if we score one more run, it could be over. So we'll see.
But high-powered offense has kind of been the story of it. Did you catch the game last night? Were you able to see any?
I saw
any of that?
game the night before, and that was, that was a beat down.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how to say it any other way. That's
one of our friends actually, Drew Lors. He hit a triple in that game, and he asked us if we got it on film, and we had to tell him no because we couldn't get it quite set up that night. So that was kind of
Drew's playing first base for us now.
Yes, sir.
Right? Yeah, he does a good job over there.
He's kind of has quite a long stature, so he's able to.
Yeah. He was also our goalie too for soccer, right?
Yes, sir. He was 4-year, actually no, 6-year, because he played goalie for Drake's Creek also. But yeah, he's a multi-sport athlete. And we have plenty of multi-sport athletes on this Greenwood roster, don't we?
We do.
John Morrison plays basketball, baseball, and football. Reed Sloan he's great defensively in center field and great defensively as a defensive back for football.
Now, is John the only football player, or did you say we have
Reed Sloan
Reed plays
also
too. Yeah, Reed
plays
does.
defensive
but
back.
Reed is a senior, though, right?
He's a junior.
Reed's a junior.
He will be a senior next year.
Okay, all right. So we've got a couple of kids, I think, that are playing football. Speaking of football, I think Coach Howard plans on starting spring practice next week.
Oh, wow.
So got a couple of guys in baseball that's not going to be able to participate.
He's getting a real early jump on it, isn't he?
Yeah, but you know what? I remember those days. I know y'all saying, "Boy, that's a long time ago." You're right, it was. But it's always, I didn't mind missing spring football. As a matter of fact, anytime you could play baseball and not do that, I think that was good.
That's a win in your book, right?
Yeah. I mean, nobody likes to be clobbered in the spring, you know.
Yeah. And that will be a walk there to bring in another run for the 16th score.
Yeah, that's it, because Warren Central's walking off. So
that will be the mercy rule. So that will be, is that the third straight mercy rule?
I guess so. I think you're right.
So that's a series sweep on top of a sweep.
It is. Sets a tone next week, getting ready for Warren East. And, we got some big games in front of us, big district games. Warren East, of course, is next week. And then, of course, after that, South Warren and Bowling Green both will fall in. And I really like the way our guys are playing right now. I really like our chances in the weeks to come.
Yes, sir. But next week, if you're going to be in attendance to one of those games, maybe we could have you in the booth again. But
my pleasure. I'll be glad to.
Yes,
I enjoy baseball, but again too, I kind of like our softball team is not involved too heavily next week as far as district play is concerned. I think the week after, though, we have South Warren and Warren East both. So
yes, sir.
That'll be good games. But next week's a big week for our baseball guys.
Yeah, I'm real excited to see that. But it's been great having you on tonight.
Hey, it's a pleasure, guys.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate all the pub, because you got to get as much as you can.
Yes, sir.
See, I left Mr. Hatcher his car. I said, Mr. Hatcher, is your car going to make it? He said, I don't know. I think I better go on home. I said, go ahead. I'll take care of it. So he's a great guy, but he wanted to see it, and he told me to make sure I send him a text message as soon as this game's over with. So I'm going to wait just a few minutes. I'm going to pretend that I did. But is he going to hear this?
I'm not quite sure.
Mr. Hatcher, I'm just kidding. You know you're the man.
Yes,
so anyway,
sir.
See you in the morning.
Right. Well,
right. See you guys.
Thank you very much for being on.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. So after that great appearance there from Mr. Wicks, what are some takeaways from this game that you think that Greenwood can kind of see as a positive after this?
Well, Greenwood can definitely look at their performance, like even away from the batting. I think that should give them a little perspective on how, even though they couldn't really get the bat started until maybe like 2 of those innings there, they had really active batting, but the rest, they still found ways to score without that.
So I think Greenwood really has a dynamic offense. They're able to score by whacking it to the wall. They're able to score by getting walked with that great plate discipline and plate vision. So it was a great game to see. Hopefully you'll be able to join us next week when we play against South Warren, Warren East. We have a stacked roster.
I hope so. That'll be
or stacked schedule. I mean,
that'll be very different than these games. I think.
Yes, sir. We're going to be playing against number 2 ranked in the state, Warren East.
Who's
so
number 1?
So that will be exciting. I'm not sure who is.
Number 2 team coming from your district,
yes,
and being the team that historically is kind of
dominant,
the least known about in the
but they
district.
They surely are dominant.
Baseball.
Yeah, but so this has been Jackson Sutherland
and Eli Lovell,
and keep chomping.
Chomp on.